All right. Hey guys, my name is Kako. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Thank you to PASO Creatives for having me here. This is episode 10 of El Paso Creatives podcast, and I'm their 10th guest on the show. So thank you for being here. Thank you, Isaac, for having me.
Awesome, great, cool. Kako, go ahead and tell us just a little bit about. Well, the first question I've always wanted to ask you, and I know you mentioned this in our Sun City Sounds episode, was the phrase Kako. Where does the Kako come from?
So Kako is a nickname that originated when I was 4 years old. I gave it to myself because I wasn't able to pronounce my original name, Carolina. And it has a meaning, Japanese meaning that means rainbow child. So
Hmm.
I feel like I really resonate with that, especially being an artist. So that's where that came from.
Yeah, and so I know you're growing up. How did you first get into your art? Like, how did you get inspired into wanting to do art?
So I've always been a creative, I would say, ever since 4 years old, even younger than that. Um, and I had been freely, painting and drawing, coloring in my coloring books. Uh, and my parents decided to put me in creative kids at the age of 7.
Mm-hmm.
And that is where it was a place and a space where there's many kids, and I felt like I really resonated with them because they were creatives too. So going in, they had given me a huge, beautiful canvas and super premium like paints and paintbrushes and everything like that, with my own little cart. And I even had my own my own instructor. So that's where I was really able to express myself fully. And my one of my first paintings, one of my first charcoal drawings, they had a show for the kids there, and that showing exhibiting my work, one of my first works, it was an Indian drawing, and it was a charcoal drawing, and having it there up there framed at 7 years old, like it was one of the best feelings ever.
Like a dream come true. Yeah.
It was a dream come true for a little kid. Yeah, so from then, it just sparked, and Creative Kids was a big outlet to me.
Yeah. And so your middle school years and your high school years were probably one of the biggest peaks of you hitting and learning more about the art industry throughout your middle school and like your high school years. Besides that showing, what other exhibits have you done? How did you get more in learning into like the art industry, and how did you grow away from like the people that you worked with and growing on your own?
So, middle school was a little bit hard for me just because, making friends, like you're going through puberty and everything like that. So I would spend a lot of time alone, reading, or even, spending time in my room, painting, or I started drawing as well, like a little bit more like not professional, but another level. So I always had my sketchbook, during lunch, or even at home in the living room, I would draw. Um, so it was just almost like a developing of the self,
Yeah.
in my growth. And high school, I got a little bit more confidence, and during my freshman year of high school, freshman sophomore year, I got into AP art.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I didn't know such a thing existed, for the arts. I had already started showing in some museums around town, like the International Museum of Art. And just being an APR just really exposed me to the arts. And my painting teacher at the time, well, my art teacher at the time, was a little bit helpful, but she was a little bit brutal at the same time. So I had to kind of ground myself and really find myself within my style and within what I liked.
Right.
um, so, one of the first mediums that I did start with that I really loved was oil pastel. I started making a lot of like spiritual animal portraits and stuff like that in APR. And yeah, that's kind of like where my style stemmed from.
Yeah, and I know one of the first things that you mentioned, around, I don't know if I'm wrong, around your 16 years old, you had your first collection, the Eye of the Soul collection, 2016, 2017, right? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I had developed Eyes of the Soul around my first years of high school, freshman, sophomore year. Um, and then it slowly developed more in junior year. But I had been selected as the number one featured artist of EPISD
Wow.
for Coronado High School.
Yeah.
And during that time I was growing my collection, so it really did help me with my confidence as an artist, as a young artist too,
Hmm.
because the art scene, especially for the younger crowds, was still kind of growing, or it wasn't even really there. So school, having that help. There was this lady, her name was Rosa Aguilar, and she really helped me in the art scene for that, especially getting me into the um, getting the honor of being the number one artist in EPASD. Um, so I did have my collection, my 12 pieces about
Yeah.
in central office of EPISD. So that was there for a year, and a lot of teachers and faculty got to see it.
Hmm.
Um, I
And I
was
know.
able to.
Go ahead. Go
Oh,
ahead.
go ahead.
I know your senior year, you said that you got a scholarship and your work started getting more known out there.
Uh-huh.
Hmm.
Yeah, so going back and forth with that, my collection, did grow a lot since then. So I did submit my work a lot to schools around the country. Um, and a lot of the schools did like my technique and stuff like that, so it really did give me that extra confidence to like, oh, okay, so my work really, the technique and the idea behind it is good. So I'm like, okay, like I'm okay, I don't have to worry anymore.
Yeah.
um so during that time, I was doing shows all around the city, especially heavily affiliated with Dream Chasers Club. It was a very popular gallery. It closed down about 2 years ago, but the director Jam, he was very helpful in getting me a show in his spot. The reason, well, how it developed at first was with the help of my mom. She has been my anchor, and she has really pushed me into the art scene,
Yeah.
giving me that extra confidence. So if anything, she's a bigger part of me
She's your
and
big
my
inspiration. Yeah.
biggest inspiration. Yeah. And so when we did go to the Dream Chasers Club, that was my senior year. I was about 17 years old. We had gone, and she had talked to Jam. She was like, hey, like, my daughter's leaving soon. She got many scholarships all around the country, and we're trying to send her off, right? But we want to give her a show before she leaves. Um, so what ended up happening was that he was like, yeah, like he saw my work, he saw my portfolio, he loved it. He's like, hey, like let's put 16 pieces in this show for her. Let's get the media in on it. Let's get even the newspaper, the El Paso Times went in
Yeah.
on it. I was in about 3 articles during that time.
Hmm.
Um, I got interviewed. So,
Just a lot of
having
different exposure everywhere. Yeah.
a lot of different exposure, like, a lot of these things that really got me prepared for the world, because I it was very hard.
Hmm.
Growing up, it was just very hard to like grow up and become something and become an adult. So that really, my family support, my best friend support,
Yeah.
my mom support, really pushed me out there in
Hmm.
the art scene.
And so
um,
you left El Paso for a bit and you went to PNCA. You went to Oregon, correct? Like Portland, Oregon. Yeah. And
yeah.
so how was that leaving your hometown, going to a different state, and just how was the art experience there?
uh Portland, Oregon is a super like kooky, crazy place, like super liberal. The people are so kind,
Hmm.
super green. The art scene over there, it's just very bizarre. I saw a lot of things over there. I got a full ride scholarship to the Pacific Northwest College of Art and Design. And it was a great opportunity. I loved it. I got to travel a lot. I got to exhibit in many galleries over there, in the gallery, the main gallery of the school.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if anything, it was more so for me to see the world, like what it was like to get out of El Paso
Yeah.
and live outside of El Paso, especially. Yeah, it was a great experience overall, but I really missed El Paso. I really
Yeah.
missed having my family, and it's a big culture shock too.
Yeah, and it is. It's tough when you go somewhere else. It's not the same. It's like a whole different world. But I think that's kind of interesting in painting as well. Is that like you see a world in a different perspective from where you grew up, and it helps like grow your imagination, your mind into like seeing what else you can create, which I think is pretty cool. But what made you decide to come back home from Oregon?
Um, I felt in my heart that I was missing something.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, I did live my time here in Oregon, but what's next? You know,
Yeah.
what's next? Do I stay or do I go? It was
Yeah.
that little
Mm-hmm.
contemplation. But I just felt like I was missing something. Like I was needing to discover something that wasn't for me anymore in Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to come back home
Yeah.
and
And I
yeah.
saw that when you came back home, um, 2018, right? Like around 2018, you came back home.
Yeah, I had come back right at the end of the year, yeah.
Yeah, and you came back and you had another gallery showing the Through the Eyes gallery, collection.
Oh yeah. So I came back home and I wanted to, I was growing a brand new collection.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I had grown through the Eyes collection, and it's kind of similar to the Eyes of the Soul collection, but almost as if it's like a different explanation. Like, how do I explain it? Like it was a little bit more vibrant, a little bit more technically um, correct,
Yeah,
like through my experimentation.
just getting to
Uh,
see who you are as an artist in a way, right?
yeah, like more growth. Like
Mm-hmm.
I always say that as artists we're always evolving, and coming back, it was just a different version of me, like a better, like I don't needed to step out, and now she's back with clearer eyes.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And so after that collection, you had your own studio, right? The Crosslands Gallery.
Yeah, so I decided to get my own studio. My mom helped me again with that. With Carla, she's one of the main managers for the Crossland Gallery. I became a member of the Art Junction community.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a bunch of local artists and artists upstairs of that gallery. So it was my very first studio. Wonderful studio, wonderful space, beautiful view of El Paso.
Yeah,
I felt right at home. Like El Paso just, it just never, you
it
know,
always inspires you.
always inspires me.
Mm-hmm.
So from there, it's like if, the pause button went on play, from leaving Portland, Oregon, and I started, creating my newest collection, which is
Yeah.
Through the Eyes.
Yeah, because you hit a whole different like level in your life of like more growth. It's like okay, you got over this one step. Now you have a studio. Now it's like what's next, and you want to keep growing, and it's exciting. Yeah.
Yeah.
But after that, you did multiple events around here in El Paso. A lot of different collaborations, exhibitions. The House of Thug is one of them that I see here, as well as the Women's Journal. Thinking that was 2019, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I had come back, and like I said, going through my studio, I was developing a new collection. I became a part of more shows. I did more events, women empowerment events, events for kids. I got affiliated with the House of Thug, which is run by Lavender Thug. He's a wonderful, lovely human being
Mm-hmm.
that does a lot of like club kid drag art shows for artists and locals
Yeah.
as well. Very wonderful, and I got chosen by the LOB Club. They're the Women's Club of El Paso,
Mm-hmm.
and I got chosen for the women's choice for
Yeah.
women. Choice magazine for women empowerment.
Wow.
And that was for August of 2019.
Mm-hmm.
So I was on that magazine with a collection of works and a small bio alongside my beautiful mom. She's a businesswoman.
Yeah, she's always there with you every step, and I feel like that's really cool to just have your mom there with you. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, which is pretty cool.
I think I saw her because you were at one of our events too this year, the Art City one, and I think that was your mom there also helping you out, when with
Yeah,
the
she was
whole show. hmm
for everything. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And
so it's really cool, yeah, to see your mom as your big inspiration.
mhm, yeah, as
And
a fellow woman,
and so after that, you had 2020, the year of confusion, is what I like to call it.
right?
and
Well, yeah, well, actually, before the year 2020, well, 2019 ended with a bang, with a big bang.
hmm
I was part of El Paso Fashion Week 2019.
cool.
My mom curated, well, she didn't curate, she designed
Yeah.
a line of clothes that was inspired by my pieces. So it was kind of like an exhibition on the runway. So it was super cool. She was able to show off her skills as well as a
hmm
designer. And then I modeled one of the pieces, and yeah, it was a super super great
hmm
show. So that was the big bang. So I was like, okay, 2020, like I'm gonna
Yeah.
expand, like go outside of El Paso again, like show exhibitions and stuff like that. But you
But
know,
then, yeah, the pandemic hit.
pandemic hit, yeah.
And it's crazy because you just never expected it. It's like you hit one stage and you're like, okay, I completed this stage. I'm gonna go to this, and you complete that, and you complete that. You just want to keep growing, but then something like this happens, and it's just like you're confused. You're like, oh crap, my whole world just went upside down. So one of the most important questions I wanted to ask you was like, how did you adapt to the whole situation as an artist?
How did I adapt? Well, it was different. At the beginning, I was still showing at like the Home Markets Gallery, the International Gallery of Art. A lot of places around town. So, once COVID hit in March, like, quarantine and all that, like, it was just a big setback because I just wasn't prepared. I had to cancel so many things, so
Yeah.
many plans. But at the same time, like spending time at the studio and creating and developing new ideas and
hmm
connecting with myself again and spiritually, mentally, and everything.
hmm
Um, it's funny because our fuses tend to burn out at times with so
Yeah.
much action. So, and then when you're still growing and you're, like almost not expecting things, but like, well, yeah, expecting certain things.
You're just so focused that you're moving and moving and moving. Yeah. hmm
Yeah, and then everything just kind of pauses for a
Yeah.
second.
It's
So
just like wow. I get you. I understand you. Yeah. Um, but how did you seek opportunity now? Like, how are you doing? Maybe I know there's one thing you probably did where it was like a virtual exhibition. Um,
yeah, I did a virtual exhibition with some students in UTEP,
hmm
and I let me look actually really quick for the name
Yeah.
of the gallery. But amazing gallery, big virtual show. Well, actually, I didn't even mention this, but I started UTEP in 2018.
Yeah.
And I go to UTEP. I am double majoring, in painting and metals, and I really discovered great love, for metalworking and metals.
hmm
Um, so aside from painting, metalworking and making jewelry is such a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
But anyways, continuing on with that show, it was with UTEP students, and it was a combination of metals majors and painting majors. So, one of my classmates, Gabby, which she's one of the loves of my life. Like, she's such a wonderful person.
Yeah.
Um, she was like, "Hey guys, like, there's gonna be this show at this gallery. I think it's called Barro Gallery.
The bottle. I've
Uh,
heard of it. I just can't remember either. Yeah.
yeah, I
hmm
cannot remember it for anything, but like, very amazing gallery. Like, they have pottery and stuff like that. But she connected with the owners, she was like, "Hey, let's have this virtual show." So I decided to put in one of my favorite paintings, Hartnado,
Yeah.
and then one of my other self portraits called La Kako.
Like
And
Kako. I think you showed us that one at the Sun City Sounds, right?
Sun City Sounds, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
the one with blue hair. Um, but yeah, so having that opportunity was still nice because people from all over can see it virtually.
Mm-hmm.
So it was an amazing opportunity to collab with other artists and locals
Mm.
as well.
So I want to talk about some of your paintings. For example, like La Kako, that one. What was the inspiration of that? 'Cause I remember you told us something about always including some type of animal. I think you had a lemur on that one. What does that painting mean to you, La Kako?
Okay, so La Caco, she is a reflection of myself.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like if you're looking in the mirror and you see yourself, right? And she is a depiction of the inner child, and really looking into yourself. And on her shoulder, she has like a lemur monkey hybrid type animal,
Yeah.
and the animal is almost like a reflection of herself, like of that child, being
Mm.
jumpy and loving, and being a baby monkey that latches onto their mother.
Yeah.
So spiritually, it connected me a lot spiritually, to that painting.
Yeah.
And yeah, so just overall, overall love of the inner child, a mirrorization of the self,
Mm-hmm.
and to always look inside of you whenever you're doubting things, or never lose touch of your inner child.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. Um, I forgot the other question I was gonna ask you. Oh yeah, so I noticed that a lot of like the paintings that you do, they're very vibrant, they're very saturated, they're very colorful, they're very just inspiring, like very thrown out there at you. Um, how does what is like your creative process like, or what's the most challenging part about your painting or you painting?
So one thing about my paintings is that they're very intuitive. So I have a very heavy case of lucid dreaming.
Mm-hmm.
So what that means is it's kind of like if I'm leading a second life, because once I close my eyes and I go into the dream world, like it's a completely different thing.
Yeah.
You know, that the only difference is that in the physical we cannot fly, but in our dreams we can.
Right.
So a lot of my creatures in my paintings are astral beings that visit me in the dream world. So
Wow.
I
That's
kind
cool.
of yeah, so I kind of translate that onto canvas. Or another important fact is, a lot of them I do invent from my mind or imagination,
Yeah.
but if somebody around me in the world, or a person that I meet, their gaze, like the eyes, are the window to the soul. So their gaze, I immediately like get inspired and I translate that into my paintings or into the animal that I make.
Right.
So capture their essence. So I feel like that's how I get most of the humanistic like characteristics that the painting holds.
Yeah. That is
So
really cool. Like just to bring your dreams into, like how you said, into this world and then put them on a canvas, and
reality,
just display them.
yeah, into the 3D world,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's really cool. So I keep looking at that painting behind you. Does that painting have like a special meaning or a special feeling
Yeah.
to you?
So this is Mystica right here. Could probably like fix it a little bit,
There you go.
but this one, she is a direct representation of my mom. So I would consider it like a self portrait of her.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very spiritual, very women empowerment affiliated, and very, heavily decorated with symbolism of what it
Yeah.
means to be a woman. Um, so a lot of people have told me that the ears and the strokes right here kind of remind them of like a labia.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you know it really reminds me of what it means to be a woman, and what it means to be a strong independent woman, and what it means to go out into the world and have enough confidence to exhibit and show what you really believe in.
Right. Like your inner self, expressing your inner self out there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So whenever I see it, I see my mom. So it's her painting. I've already gotten so many offers on this one, but it's
Yeah.
It's hers.
You
Yeah.
just can't, and that's another thing is like you being such a good established artist, you know, very very different and unique from any other artist. It's like sometimes it is hard to let go of your paintings because those paintings are like things that you did out of your own feelings or emotions or thoughts, and you put them onto a canvas, and then people want to buy them, and it's hard to let go of them sometimes.
Yeah, it is. It is because
Hmm.
it's like if I'm creating a piece of myself in every
Hmm.
piece, so they become, so intimate almost to me.
Yeah,
So I'm very particular about who buys them as well.
yeah.
So that's why I do produce. That's why I have my merch, like my sticker packs, my stickers, my pins, my
Mhm.
prints, so that they're accessible to anybody.
Right, and
Right.
that's another thing you do, right? You do like besides painting, you do like I remember you brought us. I think it was a scarf or what was it to the
Yeah, with
show?
like a handkerchief.
A handkerchief. Yeah. So you put like your artwork onto different things like mugs and things like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
So that scarf was an original piece from the El Paso Fashion Week. One of the pieces from the runway.
Yeah,
So
that's really cool. Yeah. Um. So you're very experienced now. You're very out in there. You're a professional artist. You're at that level. But when you first kind of like began, what type of like things did you have with you? Like as far as the equipment or resources. How did you get creative with the resources that you had at the moment when you first got started?
so my mom and my parents, well, most of my mom, she funded most of, the paint and the canvases and everything
Mm-hmm.
like that. And we were at a time of struggle at that moment in time, with family and with myself, growing up, being a teenager, becoming a young adult. Um, so she was the one, that was like, hey, Caro, like, let's put like your painting, like if we're not going to sell your paintings necessarily because you don't want to let them go, let's put them on a print or let's put them on a sticker because they're easily accessible to
Yeah.
anybody. Kids love pins. So, that's mostly how I started. First, number one, getting your supplies, creating art, making anything. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't even have to be like expensive paint or anything. Like just start with anything that you have.
Literally a pencil and a paper. Yeah.
Literally, yeah, anything. And secondly, like get yourself out there, like talk, like grow your confidence, like own it, And she's the one that really helped me own it because I was, a shy, I was still building my charisma, but I was still like kind of shy and like I was like, I don't know if my art is good enough or something like that.
Yeah.
um and so, having the support of everybody and my friends and oh, and then thirdly, like getting your work out there, like your prints, your stickers. um yeah, just exposing yourself, just getting yourself out there, getting the word out there.
Exactly. Yeah. Um. So, what habits have helped you kind of expand your painting?
uh Not procrastinating.
Yeah.
Even though I am a huge procrastinator.
Yeah. I think we all are. Yeah.
Yeah, and I try not to be though. I'm trying to
Hmm.
train myself to not do that, and because in order to get yourself out there, you really need to put in the work. Like you
Yeah.
can't just get anything, without putting in the work.
Hmm.
And I struggle with that every single day, but doing it, doing it every single day.
Yeah. So this
Yeah.
this might be a tough question for you, but what's one thing you really dislike about the art industry and one thing you really like?
Oh, okay, that's a good
Yeah,
one.
it might be a little tough.
So one thing that I really don't like about the art industry is that there's a lot of pretentiousness in there.
Hmm.
And, we forget about the heart in connecting with people and connecting with people through our creative process. So yeah, a lot of ego, a lot of pretentiousness, which, as artists we do have ego
Hmm.
at times. I even admit that. But without it, we wouldn't have that drive. And yeah, but like there's a lot of ridiculous art out there. I don't know if you've heard about the banana with the duct tape.
The banana with the duct tape. No, I've seen a lot of contemporary art where it's just like random things put together in an exhibit. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of random stuff. And I do connect with some of it because, just because it's a blank canvas doesn't mean that it's not art. But there are times where, you know, even crumbling a paper could be labeled art. But no,
Yeah.
there a certain extent to where what is art and what is not.
Hmm. So in your eyes, what would be something that would be, I guess, like a basic art, like a basic piece of art? Like, what would
What
you define art as? You know?
what I define art as? Okay, I would define it as something that is, I don't know, like when you look at a piece of art, I can either tell if it's convincing or not, or I could tell if it has that little spark in it or if it doesn't. It's kind of like a singer.
Hmm.
There are a lot of there are a lot of people that can sing, but it doesn't make them a great singer.
Exactly.
There are a lot of people that can call themselves artists, but it doesn't make themselves an artist. Like what defines an artist?
Hmm.
You tell me, but you know, it takes a lot of hard work to become an artist
Yeah.
or a painter, a metalsmith, a sculptor, anything. But you have
Hmm.
to put in the work, and you can't just call yourself an artist. I think.
Yeah. Just you can't just call yourself one just because you want to do it. Like for me, I think my definition of what an artist is would be like something that comes in like how from you, like it comes from your dreams and you put them in a canvas and it comes from your inner self. Like something that comes in from you. Yeah.
Yeah, you. Yeah, something that so we're a physical being, but something else beyond that, like something that you exude, like another frequency, another extension of yourself.
Yeah. Like a whole different you. Yeah.
Yeah, and a feeling doesn't lie. So when you see something that is true, it will always be true.
Hmm.
So, it's a very controversial topic, about what it truly means to be an artist. But I
Yeah.
mean, just being true to yourself and just really loving what you're doing
Hmm.
and remembering that it's not just you, but there are others too. Like, because without the viewer, you know, then what is, right?
Yeah, I get you. Uh-huh. So what's your dream project? Like if your dream collaboration, your dream painting to do?
So my dream project, for now, because I'm trying to set little goals and then bigger goals, but
Hmm. It takes baby
I'm
steps, yeah.
yeah, baby steps, yeah, because
Hmm.
I'm the type of person that literally like wants to get to like
A to
without like
B. Yeah.
yeah
It's like
without
A to
going
Z, but you got to go through A, B, C, D, E, F, you know?
exactly, and it's so hard. But I'm really looking for a wall. Like I'm really looking to be a muralist as well, other
Hmm.
than working with the gallery. So I really want to look for a wall. So if anybody knows about a wall,
Like you want to
and
paint a wall?
I want to paint a wall.
I
Yeah.
got the perfect wall for you. I have a wall in my office that's like just a big wall, you know? I
Please,
got
yeah,
you.
any wall, yeah. I really want to start with something to like, really expand from that. But
Mm.
that would be one of my biggest goals right now, considering the circumstances of COVID for now. Because like my next goal after that would be like expanding out, like having art shows, my second solo show somewhere
Yeah.
outside of El Paso or even in El Paso. But for now, finding a wall would be one of my
Hmm.
biggest dreams right now.
Because I
Yeah.
feel like once you do a wall, then you do like a building. And once you do a building, you do like a city. You know, you just go bigger and
Exactly.
bigger and bigger. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I don't
Yeah.
know if you've seen, there's this one artist. I forgot what his name is, but he makes big sets. Like he goes to like different locations, like different forests, whatever, and he builds a whole installation. And all he does is take a photo of it. But like his art is like him building the installation, like a big Annabelle doll in the forest, and he builds a big doll. Like it's not just like photoshopped, or like a
Oh
big
wow.
shark inside of like a desert, you know.
Oh,
And
that's so cool.
he makes huge installations and he puts them in random places.
That's so cool.
Hmm.
Yeah, I would love to do an installation someday too.
Yeah, so those
Take
would be pretty cool.
power.
Yeah, but it takes baby steps, little tiny steps. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So first wall and then on.
There you go. Then a building, you
Yeah.
know. But last two questions I have for you, and I kind of prepped you on this, is compared to where you're at now, what are things you know now you wish you would have known when you first got started?
Things I know now. Um, so at the beginning, I would fear about what people would think about me.
Mm-hmm.
But, if I could tell myself, the self of myself beforehand, I would tell her, like, hey, like, don't worry about what people think.
Yeah.
Don't let people put you down about whatever, like, just fight for your voice, fight for yourself, and ground yourself, and baby steps. Like, don't try to go from A to Z so
Mm-hmm.
quickly, like we said before, which I'm still working on that. But way
Yeah.
before, I was like, no, like, I need to be this, I need to
You
be
need to
that.
do it now. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, don't worry about those labels. Just do it and have fun.
Mm-hmm.
Don't don't forget the fun,
I
because
always, I always mention this in every episode. I'm like, it's trusting the process. You know, just
trusting the process. Yeah. Don't just think about the end result, because there really is no end result. We're always evolving and growing.
yeah.
So like, hey, like, enjoy the process. Enjoy it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I mean, some people they want the quick success and they don't see the long term, you know, or they see the long term. They're like, I saw this really nice quote I really liked where it was like, where you're at now is you where you wished you would have been when you got started. So like, when you first got started, you wish you were at where you're at now. So like, don't give up because then you're gonna end up back then, you know, because you wished you were there at some point, you know, where you're at right now.
Like, living in the now,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
grounding yourself, and just realizing what it is to be here right
Mm-hmm.
now. Yeah.
So then, anybody new coming into the art industry, somebody just starting picking up a pencil for their first time and drawing, what advice would you give them?
The same thing almost, like, don't let people put you down.
Mm-hmm.
Like, sometimes, you'll show a person your drawing, and it could either make you or crush you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, don't let it crush you, because, like, and people on the exterior, like, if there's a person that wants to be an artist and is super talented, like, don't let jealousy, like, spite you either, or don't criticize, or if anything, help them and just send them love, because it's very hard, you know growing as an artist and
Yeah.
discovering yourself, especially young artists. I would just tell them, like, build yourself up right now, like, work on yourself, like, build up your confidence, get yourself out there.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what I would tell them.
Yeah. And so before we let you go, where can people find you? Where can people find your work, buy your stuff, check you out?
So I have a website. It's at www.carolinahvillarreal. So the R's are double R, artist.com. And then on there, I have a link to my Etsy where I have stickers.
Mm.
And then I have a bio and everything. And then I have my Instagram and my Facebook, Twitter, and my YouTube all attached to the website.
Yeah.
But just in case, the Instagram is at carolina.hvillarreal, Facebook, Carolina H. Villarreal Artist, and then Twitter, Astro Kako,
Mm-hmm.
and then Etsy Astro Kako, and YouTube is Kako. So it's K space A space K space O.
Space. Okay, got that.
Yeah,
Yeah. All right, Kako. I'm gonna let you go, but I appreciate you coming on the show, sharing your story, sharing your whole experience. It was really interesting to hear.
cool. Thank you so
Yes.
much, RJ.
Awesome.